And welcome to the Huddle, KGO9's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Parris. Pat, good afternoon. We've got a good one today.
We do.
Our guest is Arizona baseball head coach Chip Hale, and he joins us from Arlington, Texas, where Arizona baseball is set to play the Big 12 tournament. Chip, we're going to talk baseball, of course. Thanks so much for a few minutes, Jason and Pat, here in Tucson at the KGO9 studios. But we thought we'd get you involved in our Huddle poll question. We do one each week, and it has to do with the NFL and whether or not the tush push should be eliminated. They're going to vote on it. You know, the Eagles have used this. And we were actually chatting before we went on here. You kind of found an analogy with baseball. Curious your opinion on the tush push.
Yeah, for me, I would say B. And I think the players have to eliminate the tush push. Or coaches, I guess, figure out a way to stop it. I was telling you, I equate it to the eliminating of the shift.
Yeah.
You know, the players should have figured out a way to beat the shift, you know, instead of having the league have to step in and change the rules of the game. So I think, hey, let's figure out a way to beat the tush push.
People could vote on our Twitter and on our website. And Pat, you're up.
As far as the poll question goes,
I went question for Chip. I'm sorry, I've been talking all the time.
I'm gonna weigh in real quick on the poll question before we start talking with the Chip. I like where he's coming from, and it's a great analogy, the shift and getting rid of the shift. I did go with A because I just don't think it's football, but I could have gone either way. This is one of those where if they get rid of it, fine. If they don't, I'm with Chip. Figure out a way to stop it. Nobody really has completely figured it out, but somebody will figure it out eventually.
I'm going with A. It's not a football play because you're aiding somebody else, and to me, that's the difference between that and the shift.
It looks too much like rugby or something. Yeah.
All right. All right. Baseball. Coach Hale, you're at you're at a place you know pretty well because you actually started your Wildcat career at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, and then you started this year too. So this has got to be a facility you and your team know pretty well for the upcoming Big 12 tournament, which you start Thursday in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, for sure. The guys are excited to play here. Obviously, we didn't have the success that we had 3 years ago when we first came here, when I first got the job. This year was tough. We played some really good teams and we didn't play great. So they're excited to kind of show who they really are to the fans here at Globe Life.
Chip, we've seen your team, you know, kind of have highs and lows. We've seen them play some great baseball, obviously. Where's your team at right now? Do you feel pretty good heading into this Big 12 championship?
Yeah, I do. We had the last 2 games in Houston. We really played well. I thought the offense came through. I thought Houston had some really nice arms that we really hit, and we hadn't done that for a while. I thought, we kind of relied on the close game and making a good play or getting a good pitch here or there. But we really came out and swung the bats well on Friday and Saturday, the last 2 games, and played better defense. And it was really tough conditions down there, very, very humid and hot. So it'll be good inside, indoors, and we're excited to see who we're playing. We really have no idea because obviously ASU has to play BYU, so we're getting an idea who we play after their game tomorrow morning.
So also we'll talk about a couple of those players who have provided good offense for you. One of them is a potential first-round draft pick in Brendan Summerhill, but he was out for a part of this year, a fractured hand. How much does his presence mean to your team?
It's huge. It's huge because really Aaron Walton, our center fielder, went into the leadoff spot where Brendan was, and it was a ton of pressure on him. And we weren't really supporting him very well. And with him moving back into the 2-hole, Mason White in the 3-hole, Brendan has been able to get on. And even when he's not swinging the bat well, he's able to work walks, see pitches, which helps us as an offense. So I feel like he's starting to hit his stride because when he came back from the broken hand, he tweaked his hamstring a little bit. He's about 90%, according to him today. So we will start to see him run a little more, which is great. We just, we sustained a couple injuries down in Houston. We'll see if Easton Breifogel will be able to play our left fielder who just got really hot. And then Maddox Mikalakis, our third baseman, who has been really swinging the bat well and playing great defense. He tightened up and he's ready to go. He'll play Thursday for sure.
Chip, you mentioned Mason White. The all-conference selections came out. He's second team all Big 12 baseball. Talk about a guy like that is a name people recognize, and obviously he's a guy you probably count on in a lot of ways, not just with his abilities on the field, but what he can do to help kind of get this team headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one of our first recruits out of the Tucson, the city of Tucson, out of South Point High School, and obviously his dad and his grandfather both played here at the U of A. So just huge to have him here. He's been able to help out other guys in the team throughout his years, and we're hoping he can have a huge postseason, to be frank with you, and lead us back to Omaha, because with those three guys, the top of the order, they really didn't do a whole lot in Houston. It was the bottom of our order that really came through. So if these three get hot, we're going to be tough to beat.
Arizona baseball plays in the quarterfinals on Thursday against the winner of BYU and ASU. They play on Wednesday. The game is going to be 7 a.m. Tucson time, 9 a.m. Arlington. So what are you doing to adjust your team? I mean, these are college kids. I'm thinking, the school year's over. They kind of sleep late a little bit. I'm sure you've had some early curfews. Is this something you have to do days in advance, or how are you handling the early start time?
Yeah, great question. So here's what we've done. We were in Houston. We just drove up here because obviously school's done. The price to fly back here was the same as staying a few extra nights here in Arlington. So we drove up on Sunday, stopped at Buc-ee's, which is a very world famous place. So everybody got a taste of that. We got up here to Arlington, and basically we have brought back the breakfast times a half hour a day. So we went at 8 o'clock. We usually eat at 9. We went at 8 on Monday, 7:30 to yesterday, 7 today. We'll go 7 tomorrow, and we will leave. We're going to practice at 8 o'clock at Dallas Baptist University, DBU. So we're pretty much going to be practicing while that, our game time is 9 o'clock, where our game time is, and then we'll wake up at 6:30 for the game on Thursday and leave for the ballpark at 7 a.m. So we brought them back and kind of at breakfast sort of quizzed them on some fun stuff and see if they knew like my full name or different guys' middle names, and tried to wake their brains up. So that's probably more important than being physically ready. They got to get the minds ready.
Yeah, you've spent a lot of time thinking about this, obviously, to time shift the entire team.
It was the whole ride up, the 4 hours from Houston. I was like, we are not going to lose because we're not ready. If we get beat, we get beat, but we're not going to lose because we're making mistakes because we're half asleep.
I want to ask you, as somebody who grew up in Tucson and just really appreciated Jerry Kendall, what he did to for this program, and I'm sure he mentored you in a lot of ways. How much of Coach Kendall do you have in what you do? Game planning, execution, that kind of thing. What impact has he had on your managerial style?
Yeah, he has everything. I mean, between Coach Kendall, Tom Kelly with the Minnesota Twins, my high school coach, those are the people that mentor you and teach you, and there's things you take from them, things you don't take from them. But Coach Kendall, more than the baseball part of it, is just being a mentor to these kids. And he was a genius at, when we were doing well, kind of knocking us down a few pegs and make sure we didn't get too cocky, and when we were struggling, to point out all the good things we were doing in the game, even though we may have lost the game. So I take a lot of that, what he did for us in that way, and try to build on the positives and make sure that they don't, because unfortunately they're 18 to 23-year-olds now we have. They can think pretty highly of themselves.
Jason Barr, Pat Parris, joined by Arizona head baseball coach Chip Hale, joins us from Arlington, Texas, ahead of the Big 12 baseball tournament. Chip Hale, you were Arizona Diamondbacks manager, spent a lot of time in the major leagues. Do you miss professional baseball?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I love watching. I love to strategize along with the game, just like everybody else does. I miss a lot of the, my friends that are still coaching and managing and playing, kids that I watched grow up in the minor leagues and come through to play for me and to move on. There's not a whole lot left. It's amazing how quick the careers go. I think that's one thing I've shown our players is it's from 2022 or 21. I was in Detroit. There's not a whole lot of guys left, and that's why it's so important for these guys to get their degree. It goes fast.
Yeah, certainly does. talk about going fast. 1986 seems like an eternity ago, doesn't it, for the national championship? But
yeah.
those are the kinds of things you can still draw on, though. I mean, baseball is still baseball, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. And, we talk about it all the time. And I talked to Mike Andrea about, when they got it going in softball and just some tips on different things. And we were laughing because really the SEC was not involved. Like softball wasn't even a big deal for them. And in baseball, I remember LSU, I've had a bunch of friends I played with in pro ball that were just when LSU started to get going. So it's a whole, everything shifted to the Southeast. Where it was, the Long Beach States, the Fullertons, Pepperdines, those schools like that. And it's just so hard for them now. And we still have the ability, financially to compete with those guys. And we just have to do a better job. There's too many of those teams that end up in Omaha and not enough of ours.
Well, that kind of leads me to what my next question was, which was how much has NIL made its way into college baseball? We hear about it in football and, of course, all this transfer portal and in college basketball. Is this a part of your job and your recruiting now?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, our alumni and our donors have been unbelievably good with giving us enough money to compete. Are we at the same level as some of the schools down there? Probably not, but we could get enough good players to be competitive and have a chance to get ourselves back to Omaha. It'll be so interesting when this court case is finished and we get to this next phase of revenue sharing. And I think it's gonna help us a lot. I really do. I think Desiree Reed Francois has been very generous with us and going to help us on that side of it. And then, are they going to be able to do some of the NIL stuff down there that they do now? Is it going to be, legal and is it going to pass? And I think the stuff we do, we'll continue to be able to do because it's going to pass muster.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're not done yet. Everything's still changing and it's going to continue to change. Let's get back to this team and what your, kind of message to these guys will be as you hit the field on Thursday, regardless of whether it's BYU or ASU.
Yeah, we obviously we're so glad that we got the first round bye. That we kind of flipped with ASU into the fourth place spot. It allows us to go. Kramkowski, who's been pitching on whether it's Friday, it's been Thursday the last 2 weeks. And then Garazar for the semifinals, and then Smith Bailey, our freshman, will be able to pitch in the finals. And at the most, we'll have to play 3 games, and that's the beauty of this thing because we get into the regionals next week, and we don't want to blow too many pitchers out. And I see some of these tournaments where you got to win 6 games to win it, and that's not helping your conference or really, in my opinion, your club. You want to be well rested going into next week.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of projections, or maybe I just saw one of them that had you possibly in the Baton Rouge regional. I don't know how accurate that is.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look.
That'd be a lot of fun.
What I figured is they would find a way to make a regional out here in the West that had all Pac-12 teams. If it's Oregon State,
okay,
you could actually go Oregon State, Oregon, Arizona. Because we're all in different conferences now. Or if Stanford or Cal were in it, you could get them from the ACC. So. And then they always want to tie, obviously LSU because of Jay Johnson and U of A.
Right.
I think one of the years we were in it, if we would have won our regional and they won theirs, we would have met in the super regional. So they'll find a way to do something like that. It's just part of the college. It's just, they do it in basketball. Remember the years we had to play Wisconsin every time, right?
Yep. Right. Yep. Back-to-back years. Yeah. Ended up that way. Well, obviously you guys, as you said, you're playing some good baseball right now, and you got to feel good in that regard that this team is maybe ready to play its best baseball of the year right now.
Yeah, that's kind of was my point to the team. And Andrew Kane, another, Tucsonan from Ironwood Ridge, he was a guy that we were counting on heavily going in, and he just struggled. And the last 2.5 weeks, boy, he has been on fire. Between him and Easton Brayfogle, I mentioned him earlier. Those 2 guys are sophomores, and they had not played to where we thought, and all of a sudden they just hit it, and it was beautiful last week, and they led us to those wins. And if we can keep them hot, Maddox, and then get the 3 at the top going, we don't have to rely so much on these. We have a young pitching staff, and they've done great job. And Kevin Vance, our pitching coach, calls great games, and we can outscore some teams, which we thought we would from the start.
All right. Well, we'll let you get that because we know we also know you got to go to dinner. So we do appreciate a few minutes here and spend a little extra time with us here on the Huddle. Chip Hale, Arizona baseball coach, who the Wildcats are going to open the Big 12 tournament in Arlington, Texas, against the BYU ASU winner very early Thursday morning, as he told us he's getting his team ready for that. Chip Hale, thank you so much for a few minutes here on the Huddle, KGUN 9 streaming sports talk show. We'll be rooting hard for you Thursday and this weekend up in the upcoming Big 12 tournament.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks for having me, and let's get it going. Bear down.
Bear down. Thanks, Chip.
All right, that was Chip Hale, Arizona baseball coach. Hey, Pat, last year, I know every year is different, but, they were picked 9th in the Pac-12 last year, and they won the Pac-12 regular season title. Do you think that can make a team think, hey, listen, we get on a roll? So what if we're not supposed to win the tournament, or we're the 4th seed or whatever? I think that's got to give, it's another year, but I think it's got to give a team a little confidence about what can happen, despite where you're seated or picked in college baseball.
Every year, every season is different, and the makeup of the team is different, but there are guys that carry over, and that helps. The coaching staff carries over. And so I think there is a little element of that. Okay, we finished 4th this year where we finished 1st last year in the Pac-12. We're 4th in the Big 12 this year, but yeah, anything can happen. They won the conference tournament last year. They can win the conference tournament this year. Even if they don't win it, you just move on to the regionals and you see what you can do. I find it fascinating that Chip Hale, because I knew he was a very cerebral coach and manager when he was in the big leagues, that they're time shifting those kids. I mean, it just seems like they've really thought this out well, and they put what do you say about a coaching staff? You want to put the players in the best position to win. It seems like that they put them in a really good position right now.
Yeah, all right. So that's NCAA baseball. The softball season ended for Arizona this past weekend. Mixed feelings a little bit here. It's easy to second guess, but what if you're not second guessing? And I'm talking about the pitching matchup, and
I think we
were
not
getting the start instead of Devin Netz in that game. And Pat, the point that I want to make here is this: it's not so much this pitcher or that pitcher are pushing this button or that button, because that first game on Saturday only went 5 innings. I wanted that second game to feel like a continuation of that first game. I didn't want to give the game a feel of a completely new game. And just think about Ole Miss. If they don't see Miranda Stoddard in the circle, they're going to feel a little bit better about things. And that's kind of the issue that I had.
Especially because they hit Devin Netz the first time they saw her earlier in the weekend. And so they only had 40 minutes between the end of that first game and the second game. The first game only, as you mentioned, only went 5 innings. So you get out there and you're warming up the pitcher, and you're coming up first if you're Ole Miss, and you're thinking, well, this is great. And what do? They mash 4 runs in that top of the first, and they're in the driver's seat at that point. So yeah, I was a little disappointed that Miranda Stoddard didn't get the start over Devin Netz. I know the loyalty and you wouldn't be there without Devin Netz, but you wouldn't be there without Miranda Stoddard either. So I think it was
hot. Got to go with the hot hand.
I think you go with the hot hand, and I think that was a mistake. But they still had opportunities, and it's unfortunate that the bats just didn't get going quite the way they had in the game earlier in the day. But this team was better than losing in the regionals at home. It was, and that's the disappointing part.
Yeah. Okay, let's before we get back to the Huddle poll question, we want to talk about the McHale Center court. Pat, there's a contest going on right now among the fans, and you can pick one of the 4 potential courts to be the court at McHale Center this year. Am I saying this correctly?
What did you say?
You get to choose which of the 4 potential courts is going to be the court at McHale this year.
Which of the 4 designs will be the permanent floor for the upcoming 2025-2026 basketball season? And that's the one I picked. The last one is the one I picked. Do
we have the shot of all 4 up there at the same time, or no? If not, we'll show the 4 ones.
Yeah.
But to me, I think my initial thought is, do you want the cactus on the court or not on the court?
Yeah.
right? That's the
Well,
biggest difference to
and
me. No,
yeah. So the first couple just
I
basically
mean
have
the
the
big cactus. I don't mean the little cactus here.
right. They have 2 cactus logos in the first 2 designs.
Right.
Um, and then there's another design where it's kind of a silhouetted Arizona cactus logo at center court underneath the A. And then the one that I picked has the top of the Arizona, the cactus and the sunset and the mountains in all color. I really like that one a lot. So that's the one I picked. And I think that one is actually leading slightly at this point as well.
Okay. Our producer Ryan, do we have a picture of that one that Pat likes?
We'll have to see if he
We'll
has
have to
it
see.
as he goes
Okay.
through. I know we're having a little glitch.
So basically you can pick one of the 4 permanent designs, and
Yes, it's on the Arizona Athletics website. You do have to give an email address and your phone number because I don't think they want people to keep voting over and over and over again. And plus, they want
they also want to contact you. And
they
sell you
want
some
your
tickets.
email and information in case you want some season ticket information.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I've already got season ticket. I'm good. But
Okay, so this isn't the one you picked, you're saying?
no, this is not the one I'm picking.
Okay.
It's the one that takes the Arizona logo and puts it down underneath the A.
All right. Well,
yeah.
listen, it gives fans a chance to be
There
at
it
the
is.
game.
That's the we just saw it. No.
Well, but that's the one I'm talking about, the one with the cactus on the court.
Yes, on the court, not
So
the
you like the big
there's a
cactus on
version
the
that
court.
there's a version that has the silhouette. Here, he's going through it now. Just give it a second.
Okay.
It'll wind through. Sorry, this is not great TV, but we'll get there eventually. So there's a couple little slight variations of the first couple. One of them has the state of Arizona around the A, which is
Right.
nice. But those of us who just love the Arizona cactus logo, I don't want just 2 little ones there. I'd love to see it. This one's good. Would be my second choice, the silhouetted
Okay, the
version of it.
silhouette.
And you still have Lute Olson's signature in this one. The one I really like though is the one that's the color version of the Arizona logo that I believe the Lute Olson signatures then go inside the 3-point arc. So there it is. That's the one I like.
Okay. So that's the one I mean, with the bigger cactus there.
Bigger cactus, has the color, has the A, the block A above it. So you kind of get the best of both
What
worlds.
about those mountains though? What's that circle above the mountains?
That's the sun.
Oh,
That's the
right.
sun.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
not a little bit too busy though, huh?
I don't think it's too busy. Have you seen Oregon's court?
Well, that's the point. I don't want to look like Oregon.
You've seen the Big 12 tournament court? That thing was
I don't want to look like that either, Pat.
awful. This one I don't mind. This one I don't mind at all. So we'll see. We'll see.
I have a strong feeling.
Give the marketing department credit and give Tommy Lloyd credit.
We're talking about it.
They're giving up free reign to the so if you feel like creating multiple email addresses and phone numbers, you could probably vote more than once. But the point is that they're trusting Wildcat fans to come up with the best design.
Let's see how people voted on the tush push, Pat.
Yes.
Our Huddle poll question.
I have a feeling it's no. I'm slightly ahead, but that's
I think
my
you might
guess.
be right. 50-50.
No, 50-50.
Right down the middle.
Right down the middle. And I think that's the sentiment amongst the NFL officials as well. It's kind of like, well, there's no real proof that there's an injury risk. So why are we getting rid of it other than it just doesn't look like football? And as you said, you're aiding another player. So really, it's not just the tush push they're going to ban. They're going to take the rule back to the way it was from the beginning of football, which is you can't aid a player anyway. Push, pull, shove, whatever.
But that's what I knew.
Yeah,
like,
but
if a running back needed help, you couldn't aid him. That's the football I know.
That's what we grew up with, but that's not the way the rule's been lately. So that's why the tush push was allowed, because they allow you to aid the runner in that sense. You can't pull. You can push, but you can't pull. Well, now they want to get rid of anything: pushing, pulling, shoving, whatever.
Yeah, I don't care for it. I would get rid of it.
I don't either. And it has nothing to do with Philadelphia being so good at it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't look right to me. And And so,
Also, that was part of Tom Brady's game, how good he was with a quarterback sneak. That should
right,
be part of a quarterback's game.
it should be.
You take
You
that
should,
out of the quarterback's hands, and I think that should be part of the quarterback's
right.
ability,
And it gives more of an importance to those centers and two guards, is they've got to get some push, and the quarterback's got to find a way in some kind of a seam to get himself and the ball forward, and not two big guys coming up behind him and giving him a shove.
All right. We thank Arizona baseball coach Chip Hale for being our guest this week on The Huddle. He's Pat Parris. I'm Jason Barr. The Huddle is KGUN9 streaming sports talk show. Like we said a couple weeks ago, we do 40 of these a year. So if we're not on a particular Tuesday or two, we'll be back. We're not going anywhere. We're signed, sealed, and delivered for the rest of the year. Just 40 of them. So just wanted to make that clear. But we thank everybody for voting on The Huddle and tuning in, and whether it be live or on our OTT platforms or on delay. Thank you very much. For Pat, I'm Jason. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.